Yo, what's going on? It is the Homeland Daily, and we are back for episode 16. We're continually pushing the culture forward, man. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dane, and of course, let me introduce my panel tonight. We have, of course, Liz Charles is joining us. She's in New York, still in New York, living it up there, right, Liz?
Still alive, staying
Yeah, man.
alive in New York right now.
That's good. New York is doing good now, though, right? Would you think?
The numbers have definitely started to decline. The curve is seemingly flattened, and so things are looking up. But it's still a work in progress. It's going to take some time.
Let me be careful how I say good, because that's like that. That's
Exactly.
yeah.
When 300 people are still,
Yeah, exactly. Let me
yeah.
be careful, man.
Yeah.
Rest in peace and prayers still up for New York City, the whole United States, and the rest of the world, man. This definitely is still a big situation we're dealing with. Also, welcome to the show, Rico Rolando. If you don't know,
Woo!
if you don't know, recognize, man, this guy, in my humble opinion, the most talented singer here on this island, hands down.
Oh
But
man,
I said it again. I said it again. What you gonna do?
if you say it, that's nothing to me.
All
Thank
right,
you.
man.
And radio host extraordinaire, we got
Yeah.
Dane.
Nah, man. I'm just happy to be here today, guys. Like we literally said we are not bringing anybody on because I have an agenda,
It's
and
true.
it's really important that I talk about this because I got really criticized last night, really bad, to the point that I got a call from someone trying to convince me to take my post down from last night. But we'll jump into entertainment report first,
All right, let's
and
let's lighten the mood a little bit to begin with before we
definitely.
go deep. So, you guys know Hollywood star couple Steph and Aisha Curry. They have been married for nearly 11 years. But about 10 years ago, or a little bit before they were married, they actually met Gabrielle Union at a party. And she at the time saw them and was like, "How old are you? How old are you? Okay, yeah, you know what? You two need to just break up right now because this probably is not going to work out."
Wow.
Gabrielle speaks to the fact that she tried to warn them during her thought days, as D Wade apologized and said, "We have moved on from the thought days." But she said genuinely, she was just accustomed to the Hollywood lifestyle and she thinks that they are, as a Hollywood couple, a unicorn. They have managed to stay genuine not only to their relationship, but to their faith and who they truly are as people. So they've been together for a really long time, nearly 16 years since they met, and they've been married for nearly 11 of that. So they're still going strong. I do think they're a bit of an anomaly in Hollywood. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Rico, you go first on this one.
Yeah. To me, I think it is like a unicorn thing that's going on with them. Um, in Hollywood, especially, like couples break up every other day just because so that they can make the headlines. But to me, it's like I think that their love is actually genuine and true. You can always see it, especially like when they're out in public and stuff like that. You always know that they have each other's back. So again, big ups to them. I think it's super dope and power couple.
Yeah, man. I found it weird when you first mentioned it because I've always like looked to Steph Curry and his wife like, yo,
Mm.
these are dope. This is a dope couple. But there was something last year or earlier last year or late last year that really kind of got to me a little bit was when his wife spoke out and said that sometimes I really want men to look at me. I'm like, what? Like, okay.
Yeah, I
That one
mean,
kind of hit me hard because I didn't get it at first. Like the way that I think the way
so
that
it took you a second. Okay.
media at us at the media we only care about the headline, so we presented it like the headline, like we're like, yo, whoa, Steph Curry's a great guy. Why do you want other guys looking at you? Like I don't want to hear my significant one said I wish guys would look at me. I'm like, no, we're married. Like to stop the day we got married. But I got it, I got it. I got what she was talking about. Like she wants to feel sexy and not because she wants something from a guy. Like women are
Yeah.
chasing Stephon Curry every day, so
Yeah.
she
Precisely.
wants to, yeah,
He has groupies on groupies on groupies, and she just wants to feel like she's beautiful too. I'm sure she does not want anyone else other than her husband.
yeah, true.
But at the same time, I mean, we all like to, there's a point of voyeurism that we might sometimes like. a little bit to know that someone's looking.
Yeah.
Speaking of people looking at them, so a bunch of German doctors who do not have enough PPE decided to strip down naked to prove a point. They literally got on social media and decided to bear it all to prove the point that they are essentially working in hospitals without the right things to cover themselves. And so it's made a splash. It's certainly an interesting splash. Do you guys think this is going to be effective?
Mm, I don't know. I mean, I think I don't know. This is to me, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like, I think like we just been it's been a weird week. Like everybody's been focusing on the wrong things. I think I'm not saying that
Hmm.
that's the wrong thing at all, but I just think a lot of people agenda is like very twisted in these times, and I mean this is a hard one to answer because it just seems like anything you say now will criticize people. So I
Yeah.
want to be careful how I answer this one. I don't care, guys, but it's been a long night.
Mhm.
I think it's an interesting way. Rico, what do you think? I think it's an interesting way to prove a point. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
you ain't covering us in these hospitals, we ain't gonna cover ourselves on social media.
yeah.
Do we know like how many doctors like did it? Was it like a full like the whole?
It was a lot of them. It was a lot. It was quite
Okay,
a few
okay.
of
It
them.
wasn't. It wasn't just like two doctors that were just like,
No, no, it was a lot. And it was males and females alike. And they got creative. For some of them, they're not trying to show all of the body parts. So it might be hidden behind a newspaper, like reading, or like some toilet paper or something like that. But the point was, a lot of them did it.
yeah, I mean, to me, hopefully it brings awareness to what's happening down there because we live here and you live in New York, so we don't really know what's going on in their own country. It could be something where the media, exactly, we're going back to media again. That's going to be one of our topics for tonight. But um, the media is basically controlling most of the motive and the surrounding of everything that's going on. So we don't really know until we're there. But I would say to those doctors, like they're super brave for doing something like that. I mean, that shit takes
L-
balls, literally. So I mean,
Yeah.
you never know. To me, I think they did a good thing, but then it's like the doctors are always held to a certain standard too. So that you like, imagine if you saw all the lawyers and came on like ran butt ass naked all over the places just to prove a point.
The way that I compare it is you had the one of the top ER doctors in New York, unfortunately, take her own life. Yesterday, and
Wow.
to think of the kind of stress that she would have been under as an doctor
Mhm.
dealing with coronavirus to that point,
Yeah,
for
man.
those doctors who are stretched so thin, if this is what they need to do to make a point, I am
True.
all for it. Do what
Yeah.
you need to do to get your point across, because in the same breath you have things like the vice president walking into hospitals despite the directives and the advice of people not covering his face, not wearing a face mask. And he's the person who's the head of the coronavirus task force, setting that kind of example. And you got people in Chicago, a group of 1,000 people gathering together for a house party, most of whom aren't wearing a face mask. And so there's so many people who aren't taking this seriously that if they gotta,
Mhm.
show a little skin to
Yeah.
show their point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, I get it.
I mean, it's
You gotta.
2020.
Yeah.
It's 2020. Like whatever, anything goes at this point. It's like a free for all of just doing what the fuck you want to do. To me, I don't know.
I don't know, man. Like listen. I'm gonna be straight up with you. As long as nobody's jumping off any buildings and proving a point that way, I'm good.
Yeah.
But that's what happened in New
Yeah.
York, right? You have
Mhm.
this doctor who proved her point that she was not getting enough support. Clearly, she was not getting enough
Mhm.
mental health support, enough everything to deal with this. And I think we
Yeah.
have to be that much more. I mean, sure, people are clapping at 7 p.m., for the healthcare professionals, but we have to be that much more conscientious of those who are on the front line. So I think that brings us to our topic. And Dane, you can start us off with what we will be discussing today.
Yeah, man. We are going to be discussing, and there's some terms and condition, by the way. Everything that I am going to speak on is going to be facts. If there's no facts associated with it, then I will not discuss it at all. That's what we do here at the Homeland Daily. So we just don't bring up assumptions. We don't criticize people without knowing the facts behind it. And that's just what it is, man. Last night really got me upset because um, there was a certain reporter, and I won't say her name because I don't want you to file anything against me or anything like that. You won't ever have that privilege, but you literally went at our health minister, and to me, the way you did it was pretty tacky. Like I didn't like it because everybody's like there's two sides to this, right? Half of the island is saying there's nothing wrong with what she did, and then there's some parts of the island that's basically saying um, why would she do that? Because it's been so many different occasions where this lady has asked some questions that I don't even know where it was coming from. And just to
Mhm.
get to the point, this lady from this news network basically asks the minister of health if there's any truth to his wife working out with a personal trainer. And of course, his comment back was, "You have to be pretty brave and I'm going to say the second word, stupid, to ask that question." Now, it turned into a storm of criticism against the minister of health. Like, I mean, like a storm. Like, people were attacking left, right, and center. And I'm talking about people that were just a week ago, like a rap song. Just a week ago, you were on my side. Now, all of a sudden, you're not on my side. Now, guys, we're friends, but the one thing I respect about all two of you is that you're very straight up with me. You'd be like, Dane, I'm on their side. I agree with what they're saying. They're right. They have a point to what they said. So I wrote on my Facebook, which I got a lot of heat for. I wrote on my Facebook, and I'm going to read it exactly word for word. And it basically said all these rocks coming from individuals that currently live in their own gigantic glass house. And I said, let's not forget the pressure that comes with high authority. We can always aim to take the higher road, but humanity shows and proves to us we are still progressive. Dwayne John Seymour is not a perfect man, he's a progressive man. I thank God every day that human beings will not be the ones given grace and freedom to forgiveness. You see, in my hands, nails are worth me putting up a simple picture frame in my house. But in Jesus' hands, nails are worth forgiveness and undeserving grace. I protect anyone that put the gospel first. Bawden Town still stands. And I meant that because here's the deal. If I'm the minister of health, and I'm going to get some really harsh criticism for this, and you literally put on a social network that my wife is a jackass, do you think I'm fully functioning that day to answer your questions? Like, we have to understand at the end of the day, we are still a human being. I know we have to hold people accountable, especially based off of their position. Like, I'm a to me, I'm a public figure because I work in radio, so I have to be careful in the things I say on a radio and a broadcasting platform. But at the same time, when it comes to family, man, the gloves come off. Just gonna be serious. We gonna those are fight. You coming at my family, it's completely different. And the premier asked a very vital question today. What is he supposed to do? What is the health minister supposed to do? That's his wife. She can do whatever she wants to do. If you think I control my household, the only people in my household I try to control, and I still do an awful job in doing that, is my kids. My dog don't even listen to me. So what do you what do you want me to do? Like, I mean, guys, you need to come in on this because I might continue to keep getting myself in trouble. But I stick by what I said. Like, I don't understand. People are bringing up stuff like, oh, let's not forget what he said in the LA building about gay people. Okay, I get it. I get it. It was insulting. We're not talking about that right now. We're not. None of that is on the platform right now. We're talking about a world crisis. That's what we're talking about. That's what the press briefings are for. So, like, help me to understand what the real issue is here, please, because maybe I'm wrong.
All right. So I'm just gonna say some stuff based I did not see it live. So that's my disclaimer. But I can read. So I read. And I think there's a couple things. There's some stuff in what you said, and some stuff that I feel like is necessary to clarify from what I've read.
Mhm.
So, first of all, I want to work through the timeline, right? So there is an Instagram story post, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
From his wife, from Mrs. Seymour, right?
Yeah.
Where she is exercising with a trainer who is wearing a mask,
Mm-hmm.
right? She is not, and she's exercising. And because of this Instagram story, a Cayman Marroad picked up the story and named her the jackass of the day,
Yeah.
right? And uh, that was the story on that platform. Then in the press briefing, a reporter asked for a response, essentially said, is
Mhm.
there any truth to this story that was on this platform? This reporter was from a different news source.
Yeah.
And she was saying, hey, this first news source posted this thing. Is it true? And essentially asking him if he has a response to it.
Yeah.
He
Correct.
was clearly upset by the question and responded in the way that you described, right? Cool. And he gave the example of, the donkey and all of that. Right. Wonderful. And then Alden, the premier today, also responded saying, he's doing a great job in this, that, and the other. The reason I wanted to go through the timeline is because I think it's important to differentiate a couple things. One, the original story that was posted, a defense to it was posted saying it has to be true because Instagram stories, if you post something later, then it has to do a timestamp at the bottom saying that it's a later thing. So if she had, so the fact that some people were trying to say that it's a post from before means that it probably is a lie because you would have seen that. That's not true. You can delete
That's not true. Yeah.
you can delete the timestamp. So it could have truly been a post from before, and she may not have actually been breaking any curfew rules. So, the minister may have been speaking truth when he said, oh, and or the premier, when they said that his wife was not necessarily doing anything wrong. That could be true. We cannot prove that that is a recent post from a recent activity from this past weekend versus an activity at the beginning before things were. Now, listen, you got Instagram investigators, women, we are the queens of them, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
so you say, okay, well, dude is wearing a mask. And if he's wearing a mask, that means it probably is recently and is from this weekend. And, the likelihood is that it really did happen then. It's possible. I don't know. Not a fact, not a not fact. I just don't know, right? But then
Yeah.
the next thing about it is I think we have to be careful about, about demonizing the reporter who asked the question, because she's asking for him. Was asking him to give a response to a different publication. So he could have, instead of demonizing her, he could have demonized, the publication that initially posted the story, the publication that initially called her that name. That reporter who asked the question isn't the one who called her that name. So I think we need to
Mm-hmm.
differentiate those things as a part of the story, because when feelings get into it, I think we sometimes get conflated. That's it.
Uh, I mean, Rico, you
Yeah.
you want to add anything on to that?
I mean, to me, it's I've heard like all kind of different stories, and obviously different media sources are gonna put out what is best for them and what is best for their page, right? Um, but at the same time too, and I'm not sure if this is true. But inside of the video, I heard that the guy was wearing a mask.
I didn't see. I listen. I saw like clips of the video, like which were like picture clips. So I didn't see the guy at all. I only saw his legs, and of course, then the minister's wife was just exercising, so she was doing her ab workout. So I didn't get to see if the what the guy was wearing or who he was.
Okay, Liz, can you? I don't know if you saw it or.
I read the same article with the same
Okay.
image that said that he was wearing a mask.
But
Yeah.
but
Um.
but the real question is, and I know Rico is getting to something here, but the real question is, what was it going to fix COVID? Like I was, is it going to fix the shelter in place? Like it's going to sort out an issue here? Like what's the problem? Like I guys, help me understand what the issue is, because I said you live in a gigantic glass house because stop pretending you guys are not doing the same thing. Stop pretending you're not going out and still working out, and you're not working out with people, and you're not putting yourself around like situations every single day. And then worst of all, I see some of y'all involving your kids in it. So, and I get it. You're saying that the minister is now on a high platform here.
But I mean,
So
okay, all right. If we're going on a walk and we invite our kids, we can because they're all inside the same household, right? You're not supposed to be have you're supposed to be 6 feet apart from every single person that's not inside of your household. That was the rules given by the government and the police. All right, you're supposed to be 6 feet apart from everyone. I get exactly. I get both of the situations. I don't think that she should have been called jackass. I definitely think that's out of order, especially to someone that's not really in the public. But then we're coming to a time where everyone is public knowledge. Every single person in the world is public knowledge. We live in a world today where no one is off limits.
mhm.
And that's the thing. That's the scariest part of today. It's you can be an artist or you can be a politician or you can just be regular Joe at the supermarket. You're going to get exposed on anything that the media sees fit to post.
Yeah,
Um, that's just my take on it. Again, John is doing an excellent job as health minister, and that's what he's there to do. And I'm sure every single day, um, it's with pride from all the different Caymanians around, even the world that's not even in Cayman. I'm sure that they're proud of him as well. But we're all held to a certain standard, and especially, coming from a health minister as well, that can be a sticky situation. And if there's video proof and there's a mask involved, and it's like I don't really know how to. I can't like what would you do in that case? Your wife was working out at home. You're the health minister. All of a sudden, she gets exposed to a media outlet, and then another media outlet is basically trying to confirm or deny those allegations. Because at the end of the day, Wendy's just a reporter, like what we said. And if we're going to be honest, and we're talking about the media and the media being controlled, that's not true. The media is not being controlled. The media is everybody has their own narrative. If the government wants to put out their own kind of news, they will. If Wendy wants to put out her own kind of news, she will. If Sandra wants to put out her own kind of news, she will. And that's just the day that we live in, unfortunately.
Christy, thank you so much for your comment. I do agree with you that everyone should be held accountable for their own actions. But I think what we have an issue with here, or at least what I'm getting the vibe from you, Dane, and you can respond to me on this. But I think that part of your issue isn't one person being held accountable for their actions, but another person being held accountable for that person's actions.
yeah, correct.
So it's not the issue that Mrs. Seymour should be held accountable for her actions, in the sense that if there's a fine that they can, prove that she was in fact breaking the law, then
Yeah.
that fine and or time should apply to her. But rather that because she has broken it, it is now upon her husband to face additional criticism for not minding his wife,
Look,
essentially.
because at the end of the day, man, we have a lot of people here, and you can go ahead and type amen if you want to, or you can type clap hands, or you can be like, yo, Dane, say that one more time, please. But until you get married, you don't really, you don't even have to get married. You can be in a relationship. You cannot control your significant one. You can't. And by the way, that's not the aim. Isn't the aim is if you get into a relationship to control somebody, then you got a different problem. So the thing is, what I'm trying to explain to people, everybody has their own things that they're gonna do. Like my kids, I raise my kids, and I hope I do a great job in raising my kids. But I cannot control what their perspective of life is going to be when they leave this house, even at this age when they leave just to go to school. If my son, I keep telling my son, you're not going to do drugs. Drugs are not going to happen. I train him. I live by a good example. I don't do drugs. I've never done drugs. Nobody can ever tell me I ever done it. I've never tried it. But what if my son goes and do it? Like I've lived by example, but he decided he wants to try it. Should I still be blamed for that? Do you guys understand what I'm saying here? Should I be blamed even
See,
by
I
even when
think
I live by
the
example?
example you're giving is actually problematic to me, and I'm gonna tell you why. And this is why, and this is actually gonna support your point, to be entirely honest, because you're talking about your children. You are talking about people who some your children. You are responsible for instructing your children.
Yeah,
You are not
absolutely.
responsible for instructing your wife.
No,
John is not
no,
responsible for instructing his wife. He
no,
is not her parent. So that's a
absolutely.
whole different relationship dynamic in itself.
Because yeah, because everybody's saying like he should be held accountable. Like for that's okay. This is the big question. For what? Like he shows up every day, except for Sundays. Used to be Sunday, and he preaches the same gospel every single day. And I'm talking about the gospel of reading the Bible scripture. I mean, like, stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, stay 6 feet away from people. Okay, so now we all have a problem, and we're all sneaking around, like around the door, and we're like, "Gotcha, your wife's not doing it." Is that what is no? Is that what we have become now as a country? Like we're that petty
No.
that we're gonna
That is
try to
not petty, Dane. It's
it,
not petty.
it,
Don't
it
call it petty.
it is. Look, listen. This is my opinion and what I think it is. It is petty because at the end of the day, we're going through a world crisis here, and he did not. If John was working out with a personal trainer, come on, we have something else that we're going to talk
Yes.
about here.
Yeah.
We definitely have something, and I'm going to stand up with everybody and march with them and be like, "Yo, you should be held accountable, bro. You are not. Why would you go out there and do personal training? Like it's like when everybody was asking." Who's cutting John's hair? Because he must be going to his barber. And people were asking that question because they were trying to figure out if he was indeed going to his barber and breaking any rules. Because the thing is, this is how the world has turned into. The world hasn't turned into a place where you wait to see if somebody's doing something good. The world is now a place where you wait to see when somebody's going to screw up. Like Rico proves that a million times. He goes on a platform like Triller, and people that he thinks is on his side are the ones commenting saying he sucks because they think
Yeah.
he's performing live. But then behind closed doors, they're like, "Yo, I always backed you. You're my boy. Like, I respect." That's what the world has become. They
Yeah.
wait till you screw up until you, in return, have been in that situation. So I ask people again, and I'm really trying to educate myself because there were some really, and I see James Whitaker doing comments. He was one of the comments I actually respected. Like I didn't have anything to say to James because James is right in a lot of ways, but I am still angry because I'm trying to say to myself like, what is the man supposed to do? Like you can't control your wife, man. You can't. The premier said it right. What is he supposed to do? Yeah, take a breath of fresh. I mean, like,
Listen, I mean, I think the issue that people are having is that maybe maybe they're saying, okay, if she's not being held accountable, then they're going to, in her stead, essentially hold him accountable for her actions in her stead. But we can't really do that as a society. Like if she needs to be held accountable for something, then she needs to be held accountable for something. But you
Yeah.
also have to prove you gotta prove that she did the thing. So
Yeah.
unless you can
Yeah.
prove that she did the thing, then then you don't really have anything to say. So yes, the law should be applied equally to everyone, and that includes any politician's wife. And we can give
Mhm.
examples and say internationally other politicians have resigned after their significant others have been caught doing those things, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily the ethical thing to do, because there are implications when you have politicians doing that, right? And so
Yeah.
and we can I could go through a whole lesson on feminism and the patriarchy and why that could be problematic. But at the end of the day, each individual should, I agree, should be responsible for his or her actions. So we can't
Mhm.
crucify John for something that his wife did. And if you can't prove
Yeah.
his wife did it, then you got a problem. But if you can prove that she did it, then she got a problem.
yeah, there's two questions
Yeah.
here that came in. Anya, I love Anya to death, man. I miss her on the radio too. Actually, thank you, Anya, for listening. But she basically made a good point. She said the reporter was doing the job of asking the question the public are asking. He could have answered in a different way. It was the response that was the problem. I agree. I have always said that. That's why I put in my post. I said Of course, yes, we should be held to a higher standards, especially if you're a public figure. You need to be able to answer questions in a sensible and a mature way.
Hmm.
I 100% agree with that. What I would have done if somebody asked me about my wife, I would have simply just sip on my coffee. I would not I'd answer the question at all. I don't care how ignorant you think I am. I'm sipping
Sip
my
that
coffee.
tea.
We're gonna take, or I would say, hey, Wendy, do you mind if we take that offline? That's something that we're still investigating. And we take that offline. All right. Now I'll get to the
So
bottom.
so
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
diplomatic.
get to the bottom of it,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
here's where my issue is, and we got a bigger issue too, guys, because Johan Moxham just joined the conversation, and I know he's all about spitting fire, so I got to be careful what I say now. But here's where I have the issue, guys. I was trying to explain to people that he made a mistake based off of the fact that earlier that day someone referred to his wife, or the day before, as a jackass. So you are
Hmm.
still on the defense as a human being. I don't care if you're the president of the United States. We see that Trump every day he gets in press conferences. This is a horrible example.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Every
don't know if you want to do that.
horrible example. I'm just simply trying to say I'm not going to even use it because he's horrible. But it's just that he's a human being, guys. He's a human being. That's all I'm saying. I respect everything that everybody's saying. And I know Naomi also put that the person wasn't sneaking around that took the photo. They blatantly put it out there. That's also not an
Yeah.
issue. My problem is who blatantly took the picture and posted it and made it everybody else's business is who we gotta is who we
Okay.
gotta
Okay. Wait. Now, Dane.
Sorry,
So,
Dane.
okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. If it was anyone else, do you think that Kmart Morrow would have posted it? Yes, they would have posted it regardless. Do you think because Dwayne and Kmart Morrow may not have a lovey-dovey relationship right now, and there's a radar on him constantly? Of
Yeah,
course,
absolutely.
there is a radar on him constantly, especially as someone who's not a fan of that website, that particular website. So again, it's like even if she wasn't his wife, this same thing would have applied to her again. She would have been posted regardless, I think, just because of what's going on. You imagine if it was one of us who took the video, I'm sure Kima Morrow would have posted it the same way and would have said, "Why are you not using social distancing?" So I mean, as his wife, like she's still gonna have a radar, and I get it. You can't control anyone. You can't control what anyone posts, but at the same time, it's like the Queen of England knows that anyone around the Queen that's family to her is gonna be put on a radar. So I
Yeah.
mean, it all boils down to
And based on what I read, I
kind of
think she actually posted it, and she didn't post it on Cayman
yeah.
Row, but she posted it on her Instagram. And
No.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
um, but I do want to respond to Anya's comment about,
It was the wrong Anya too, by the way. I want to say that it's Anya Brown. Sorry, Anya. I was mixing you up with Anya Rankin, but you're still special too because you're dope. You're dope. I say that.
all the Anyas are dope. Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So I'm going to respond to you because she made the point that, what's problematic isn't so much the action, but it's the response to it. And it seems to me that what we've actually been hearing is both. There's a group of people who think that it's problematic that what we're discussing, the action that was done. And so we've talked about that. And so now to address your point in terms of the response to it, that's where I come back to my initial point, or what I initially said when we were clearing up the facts, which was that I get that he was in his feelings and I get that he was in his emotions, but the truth is that question was an opportunity for him. It was a missed opportunity. Like he could have responded to that because, again, that reporter wasn't the reporter who posted it. She was giving like that. I don't want to say she was giving because I don't know what her intent was, but
Well,
regardless of her intent,
you don't know what
regardless
her
of her
intent was?
regardless of her intent, she gave him an opportunity to be able to he could have responded the way that you responded, Dane. He could have responded to her and said, it's interesting. I've heard that this video was posted. to my knowledge, this may have been something that happened at an earlier date, if that's what they were claiming before, and that, it didn't break rules, if that's the truth, if that's the case. Or he could have responded in a different way. And as a politician, he is held to a higher standard for the way that he responds to things. That he is accountable for. He is a human. I agree with what you're saying. Nobody's perfect. He is a human. But as a politician, he is held to a higher standard. And as a result, he kind of is vulnerable to that added criticism that is going to come his way. In the same way that Rico, because since we're using Rico as an example, right? Rico puts himself out there every day. You put yourself out there every day. You put out that post. And as a public persona, you are then vulnerable to the added influx of criticism that your opinion might bring. And so it's just people are going to be more sensitive about what he says in response. I think that's a natural reaction.
Yeah.
What you guys say, Rico?
I mean, okay, at the end of the day, I still think John's a great person. I think he's a great politician.
Not
I think
saying
he
no.
cares about the people. I none of that has changed. I just think when you're in public office, everyone around you, especially a close family member as a son or a daughter or a wife, they're all held to that same standard as you, regardless if you want to say it or not. Regardless if you want to say it or not. A story could come out tomorrow about my sister. I know it's possible, but at the end of the day, it's like that I have to be just as accountable as her. Just because I'm already inside the public figure. A lot of people know me, so a lot of people would start to know who my wife was, start to know who my son was, start to know who everyone was around me. I think that's just the point of making everyone held accountable. And this is not the first time that Sandra or Kim Amaro has posted anything that was like, I mean, we always say the media, and this was the topic today, the media is being controlled by the government. I don't think the media is being controlled by the government. If the media is being controlled by the government, none of this would have happened. None of this story would have even been
I
posted. The
heard you,
question wouldn't have been out there, anything like that. So I don't
and
know. It's
I agree.
just it is a tough subject, and I think hopefully we'll get over it in the next couple of days, and everything will be back to normal. But again, it's like it was all a lesson, and I'm sure it's not going to happen again, and other people are not going to try that same thing because it was a lesson for them as well. So I don't know.
Absolutely. And I agree with
Yeah.
Mr. Moxham too, man. He said it was a layup and a way to address in a mature and sensible manner. I definitely agree with all of that. I think where I'm at with everything, which I've been consistent with my story on this, is that the guy was just like his family was attacked, and I don't think none of us would
Yeah.
really understand how that feel until it's done to us, you know. And then
Yeah.
just before that, he was attacked for something else, and guy, you're all right. There's nobody's gonna come off of this panel. Nobody in this group is gonna be insulted for giving their opinions. That's just all what it is. It's opinions. We all got different point of view on it, points of view on it. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I respect every single person in this room, in this group chat, in this conversation that we're having right now. But I'm just simply saying I'm a man that I try to think, or I would say put myself in other people's
Yeah.
shoes. And I said to myself when this took place, I said, man, I know me. I know who I am.
Hmm.
And I usually can take a lot. But the minute you criticize my family, like you can come at me, you can throw rocks at me all day. I'll collect them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
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 I'll build a solid house with it. But if you come at, because the love I have for my kids and my wife, if you come at me like that,
Hmm.
especially before that, I heard that somebody else, not Wendy, by the way, not CNS, by the way, but a different news network called my wife a jackass. I'm just I'm still in my feelings because I'm a human being.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
I probably just left the house with my wife crying, and she's really what's like, why do I have to be like, what does it have to be like this? You know how arguments are sometimes, or you're not going to defend me, or whatever it is, whatever he's dealing with tons of emotions right now. So I'm protecting the fact of him being a human being. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know he made a mistake. I have never told anyone. Matter of fact, I had a conversation this morning with the news network that put the picture up, and that was criticizing his wife. We had a sensible conversation. I was going to invite her on the show to talk about it. But the thing was is that I was trying to get true to everybody by saying, man, he's a human being. He made a mistake. Why the harsh words? Why bringing up the past? Why talking about he's an idiot? Why talking about he's not qualified to do his job for making a mistake? He made a simple mistake. He was emotions are running high, man. I'm not the same since COVID-19. I
Yeah.
haven't been the same. And try
No
raising
one is.
yeah, try raising like kids and doing online studies and working from home and getting your job done and finishing deadline and finishing your kids' deadline. Like you're now becoming a school teacher also at the same time, and
Yeah.
probably you even having problems like divorce rates are going up like crazy, guys. Like
Wow.
everybody's emotions are high. Do we not owe the politicians that too? Should we not hold them like I don't know, guys. Like I'm trying to explain here that we should give them some slack here because they're also going through the same crisis. They're not
Yeah.
they're not superheroes here. I know sometimes you look at them like that, but they're not. They're going through the same exact crisis that we're going through. They're facing the same things in their household. They're falling. They're probably even fall into depressions. They're upset. Like they're facing everything that we're facing. So that's where my issue is. That's where my problem is. And yes, of course, what everybody is saying, the media earns the right to ask the question. Nobody's arguing about that. I work in media. We earn the right to ask the question. The question was asked, and it was not answered in a sensible way. But my argument is, should we be throwing all these
Emotion.
rocks at the minister? Should we really be going this hard at it, or this should have been forgotten about by now?
I mean, it's so early, so it definitely could not be forgotten about right now. But I would say I understand where he's coming from, and that's like one of the reasons why a lot of like the celebrity people, like they don't post pictures of their family members or their kids or anything like that for this specific reason. And that's one of the reasons why everyone, and I always get this, even my sister is always like on my ass about like, why you never post up about me? Da, 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 da. And I'm like, chill, like I just don't want to bring you into that whole. It could be a million people liking you one week, and then the next day right after that you got 10 million people hating you for all kind of different stuff, and that affects your family, everyone. Look at Jordan Woods, for example. Jordan Woods put herself in a whole situation where she dated she made up with one of her sister's husbands, and then it was not just Jordan Woods who got the effect. It was her sister that was 11 years old that people were telling her to go kill herself, and because your sister's a slut, blah 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 blah, all this different stuff. And that's just why I think like it's good to not really put your family members and are making everyone know specifically like who exactly they are. But again, Cayman is so small, you can't. How are you gonna do that? Like,
Yeah.
it's a very challenging thing. Yeah.
So two things because the we got a comment from Shaheen, I believe, and you made a good point. You may, and I want to recognize it because you said, what if she got sick and then he got sick and then the entire rest of the panel got sick? And, I think that that is a good point to be made. And it's definitely a consideration that has to be made, and a thought that is substantial, and that is a risk if it is true. Again, but that's going under the assumption that the picture was taken at that point in time. And if it is true and she exposed herself in some way, she could have gotten sick, he could have gotten sick, and it could have caused a larger problem. And that is something that we just have to say, that's true. That's a possibility. That's a risk. And as a politician, he has to bear the consequence of thinking through how that impact would have been that much harsher if he gets exposed versus if Joe regular gets exposed. Having
Mhm.
said that, again, I want to reiterate what we talked about at the beginning of this show when we were talking about, what's happened with healthcare workers in general. So there's the mental health stress on the average person, and then there's the mental health stress on the people who are working in the system. And what we
Mhm.
don't want to see is the kind of thing that happened with that ER doctor in New York. They are that much more stressed right now than we are. And we're going through it. right? Like we're going through it.
Yeah.
So I think that yes, we hold our politicians to a higher standard, and that's going to continue, and that's just a part of our habit. And so it's not going to change right
Mhm.
now, but at the same time, for me, what happened over the last few days was a wake up call. It
Yeah.
was a wake up call. Whether it's those German doctors doing what they need to do, but that doctor, that ER doctor who passed, that was a wake up call to the
Yeah.
level of stress and mental health stress that they are
Yeah.
under. So having said that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you that I do think that we should extend a little bit more grace, but at the same time, he's going to have to bear the consequence of the criticism at this time. And if I were him, I wouldn't try to fight it. I would
Yeah.
not try to fight it. I would say, you know what? My bad. I didn't respond the way I was supposed to. And just leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
Let it go. Let it
Yep.
go. Because you're not in the
Yep.
right.
We are getting ready
Yeah.
to wrap up now, folks. We love everybody that's been on and has been commenting. Naomi, I love your comment where you said we should have empathy for our politicians, but we also need them to be good examples for our youth and how responsible men behave and how they treat women. Absolutely, you're right. I can't argue with that. There's nothing to even debate on that. With she's right, um, and just everybody else has been doing their sending their comments in and they're up
Mhm.
on the screen. Everybody can clearly read them. Um, I mean, I get everything that everybody has to say. I think that this needs to be over with, but at the same time, um, I wish I wish things could have gone differently. I'm
Yeah.
not the individual. I'm not the person. I'm not the minister of health. Would I have answered that question more appropriately? Um, now that I have time to think about it, that's what I'm doing. I'm saying yes. But if I was in the shoes and I felt this emotion, I have to be honest with everybody on this platform. I don't think I would. I
Mhm.
don't know because I
Yeah.
know who I am and I know when it comes to my family, I'm pretty sensitive. I've even
Yeah.
seen people know me as a man that's just started recently walking with God, and I've even witnessed a lot of pastors that when you attack their wife, even playfield, they're like, "Let's go, let's
It's
go,
true.
let's go." So I mean, we
Yeah.
all fall short. At the end of the day, I think the roundup messages here, we all fall short. But I have to say, I really have to say that for the people that have been placed in constructive criticism comments out there that are really healthy, like James Whitaker, Johan Moxham, Naomi, people like her, I can name them. I can name people forever. I what really got me upset, guys, what really made me write my post were people that were really saying some harsh things, like things
Mhm.
that could have stayed out of your Facebook post. I know that
Mm,
Facebook belongs to you, but that could have stayed out. Like it was pretty much degrading. You were literally doing the same thing that you claimed he did.
mm,
Same exact thing. Made you no different.
mm.
And that really got to me. But then there is a lot of people that are sending comments in and saying things, and you look at it and you're like, man, I get that. That's true. That it should have been handled this way, you know?
Mhm.
And guys, let's not let's be honest. And I know everybody in this platform believes in this. We have to hold our politicians accountable. They work for us. You get what I'm saying? Like we have to hold them accountable. But let's just be a little bit more mature about it when we do it. There's no need for hateful words, but just
Great.
it's exactly like what like individuals have said in these comments. I love this. This was a very sensible debate tonight, and I think a lot
Yeah.
of people made some great points. And everybody's still gonna leave with different opinions, but we're all gonna leave respecting each other and understanding what each individual we're coming from. And that's all I ask.
Mhm.
That's pretty much my wrap up. I don't know what you guys have to say.
Yeah. I just want to point out one more comment from Naomi. She says, "We are a community and we'll forgive and forget, but we should make sure we learn the lessons if we want to move forward as a society." And I think that is so true. I don't think you'll see anyone with a personal trainer for until COVID is over. But I think the biggest highlight that we have to shine on is definitely our healthcare workers who are literally saving lives every single day. Liz talked a little bit about it, about the lady who committed suicide yesterday. Like, we really have to put into consideration how many people they're seeing per day die from this disease. And that's the last person that they're seeing. They can't be around their family for 14 days. So no one is really around them besides the healthcare workers. So those healthcare workers are the people that are holding their hands through this tough time that they're going through. And That's the biggest light that we should be shining on. I get it. We'll forgive and forget everything that's going on, but we definitely will learn a lesson from this, and that's to stay 6 feet away.
Yeah, and as my last thought, I actually want to say that I loved the comment that's regarding the way that our politicians can set an example. And I think we still have an opportunity for John to set an example, right?
Yeah.
He can show how do I respond when I know I've done something in the wrong. And people pointed out, okay, it's a female reporter. Would he have responded this way to a male reporter? Don't know. But I know that he has an opportunity right now. I know that it is an opportunity to show, okay, how do I respond when I've wronged someone? How do I respond when I've wronged a woman? How do I do that, even if it was in defense of another woman? Right? How do I do this? It's still an opportunity. And I'd like to see him take that and really run with it and really just kind of show that maybe his response needs to be by saying, you know what? I messed up and I'm gonna be quiet for a little bit. Or maybe his response needs to be, you know what, a longer apology. But whatever feels honest, I think it's an opportunity for him to show how we can respond in the face of conflict. And at the end of the day, COVID right now it's a conflictual situation for all of us. And so that's a larger lesson that we can all learn from.
Yeah, perfect, man. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you to Johan Moxham. Also, that's my guy right there. I know he's going double hard on the comments right now, and you can read them on the screen. And he's right. That's what I love about Johan. He was also involved with the port debate with on securing that for us, and he set history in the making. What Johan has done for this country, along with his team, will always allow me to speak about that to my kids and their kids. So he's someone that I listen to a
Yeah.
lot, and I respect his opinion greatly. So thank you, Johan, for joining the show. I actually am trying to get him on the Homeland show because he has a lot to say. But he's right. He made some powerful statements on the show. So, guys, the best thing I can leave with, the most powerful language I've ever used in my household to my wife to make my marriage survive, besides putting God in the middle of it, just holding my hands up and saying I'm wrong. Literally, just saying, "Hey, I messed that up," like, and the argument stops right away because it's
Because we
something that
remember our
people don't.
hearts.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember where our hearts are.
Exactly. So I guess that's the best way to end the show. I do support, for those that are asking the question, does this guy support Dwayne John Seymour? Absolutely. Personally, I have a great relationship with him. He is a great guy, um, and that's why I ran to his defense. But at the same time, I'm not gonna protect every single thing. I'm just gonna say there were wrongs that he did, but also I just could not accept what other people were doing out there when they were pitching these rocks at him because it wasn't right, you know. So it is what it is. We'll be back again for episode 17 tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll have Johan jump on the show for some recaps. And yeah, that's what it is, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of the
Thank
Homeland Daily.
you.
Don't forget to message us if you want to be a part of the show. You can be a creative individual, entertainer, entrepreneur, politician, whatever you are doing. Let's get you on the Homeland Daily. Message us or DM us on our Instagram at Homeland Daily. Until tomorrow at 7:20. Be safe. Love everyone, not some people. Everyone.
Bye, everyone.